We received a few millimeters of rainfall around Kampala this morning, and I took an amateur video recording of a few flood spots around Kampala, and I would love to share this with you so you can pick out a thing or two on how to avoid drowning in flash can potentially increase the transmission of communicable diseases. Waterborne diseases such as typhoid fever, cholera, leptospirosis, and hepatitis A, and vector-borne diseases such as malaria, dengue hemorrhagic fever, yellow fever, and West Nile fever. Look at this area, it's all flooded, and I mean, you have to ride through. So there is a runoff that is coming right out of that gate and crossing all the way through the streets, and you can see taxis and boarders trying to ride through it. Okay, this is around Shell Bugolobi. Now, what are the chances that someone can actually drop in there and drown while riding? And yet there is another. If you can see that small bubble out there, and there are boarders riding just right through it. This is still around Shell Bugolobi. You can see how bad the flooding around this area is, and see how people are riding through these unknown waters. And the question is, what are the chances of riding or walking into a trench? Take a look at this. Look at that boarder just crossing through. You don't know if there is a trench there. Oops. And what could you expect? So I took time off to take this documentary just to show you some of the hazards that we can face in such waters when we receive very little millimeters of rainfall that can create flooding around Kampala. Motorists riding through, right through into these floods. This is still around Shell Bugolobi. This is Bandari Rise. Look at the depth of the water. Look at the pedestrians walking right through it, and the risks that are involved. Some are even barefoot. Look at the whole street, it's all covered by water. And this car here just fell in. The driver just drove into a trench because there is no visual of where they are driving to. And the risk of drowning here is actually very high. And look at this pedestrian lady here, standing just right next to a trench, without any idea of what could happen to her. There she goes crossing, and on the other side is another flood spot, because that's a wetland. Now let's take a look at that gentleman over there who's walking by the side. No idea of where he is walking, and I mean the whole area is all flooded. Look at all these risk factors. Look at all these risk factors. Motorists are afraid of going ahead because they don't know what to expect, because the whole street is all flooded. Apparently, motorists are afraid of going through because they don't know what to expect. The whole area is all flooded, covered by water here in Bugolobi. Look at that. The street is cut off. Remember that car that fell in the trench? It's still right there. You can see pedestrians trying to help out, trying to give care. These are some of the risks that we do face when we get flash floods. Okay, this is very unsafe. I don't feel comfortable driving through that, so I'll just have to make a U-turn and drive back because this is very unsafe. That was a very good decision by that border man to turn around. Don't drive or ride into unknown waters. So I'll just turn and go find another way to my destination. See how stranded that motorist over there is after driving into a trench. Maybe just to remind you, these are not the heaviest of rainfalls that can cause such a flash flood, but with little millimeters of rainfall, you can see how the whole area can flood and create havoc around the city. What are the chances of drowning here? They are very high. Drowning, falling into trenches, contacting diseases like bilharzia, septicemia, leptospira, or because there is a lot of runoff water on the roads or in the streets, as you can see. So I took time off to take this documentary just to show you the hazard of driving, riding or walking in such waters on the streets. And remember, all this is preventable. You just have to be smart and take wise decisions on whether to go or not to go, whether to walk in such waters or not. Yes, so I'm on another street, driving to industrial area. It seems a little safe driving on this road than the previous one. There is a spot just down here. See what it has created by the roadside, and I mean that should be the pedestrians walkway and there is a drainage system over there. You can see how dangerous it is to walk on such or in such waters and some of the risks that are associated with it. So to minimize on drowning in Uganda, we are trying to sensitize the public on how to manage such look at the dangers of driving in such unknown waters and the risk. Look at the people on that truck, van. So I'll just stop here, turn around and go back.